Okay, everybody, so we're back. Just set it up over here. This is the usual place that I have recorded the time before. I really like that place. And when I was watching the previous video that I had done on the post-editing, I realized that it was perfect because I had the lighting above me. It was quite good. And like I said, besides the family that was actually running with scooters behind me, there's not many people around here. The school is closed, and in general, in summertime, the schools are closed, so I'm not bothering anybody. The closest house is really at the top of the hill. You probably saw the way that I came here. It's very quiet. The road is far away. Besides a few fucking idiots every now and then. Yeah, they go fuck yourself, you dumb fuck. You shove the fucking thing in your ass. As I was saying, besides a couple of fucking retards, a couple of fucking mongoloids, it's quite quiet. You know what I mean? So. We're back from the summer vacation. On Monday we start work. It was good. It's never enough. That's the usual shit. You know, you can have 3, 4, 5 months. It's never enough for vacation. Anyway, when we have our own company, we'll see what we do. In the meantime, we'll do with what we have. So we came back. The holidays was awesome. Summer holidays. Summer holidays was good. I uploaded a video where we're taking the river bath. I just want to share a little bit of the place. Beautiful place, Arta Ioannina. Those places are fucking awesome up there, you know what I mean? It's just millions of places, beaches. You go to a place, it's called Preveza. You go towards the northern side, Parga, all those beaches there. And there's a lot of rivers in between. There's another river that went, the Heroda. I might upload some footage from that river as well. We did rafting. My wife did the zip line thing, whatever you call it, flying fox, whatever it's called. There's 100 places there, and it's usually where we go because of the grandparents. That's where my wife is from, and because I had many years in Australia. You know, my origin is from ancient Corinth. In Greek, Archia Corinthos, which is above Corintho. That's where I'm from originally, but to tell you the truth, the people in that area are very non-social. It's very dead. There's not a lot of life. There's not a lot of young kids. You know, when I first came to Greece from Australia, I got disappointed. You know, I was walking the road and I thought, fuck, this is a ghost town. It's dead. You know what I mean? And to the people that you found on the road, like a grandmother or grandfather, you waved and hi, they would just look at you like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? People from above the river, or we'll call above the river, meaning from the Peloponnese and above, the big water which actually separates the northern part of Greece to the bottom part of Greece, they are much more well known for being much more friendly, you know what I mean? And that was evident when I went to my wife's village, because as soon as I got there, everybody was you know, talking to me, you're Joanne's husband, yeah. You know, so I told my wife at some point, I'm naming your village my village. You know what I mean? So it was good, and now we're back to our old ways. Today's topic is going to be one of my second job in Greece. One of the previous videos I talked about Plesio. In today's video I'm not going to name anything, and if I do accidentally it slips out, I will edit it, because like I said, it's getting closer to the now current, let's say, state. It's good not to name any people from the previous job. It was many years ago, and I didn't say surnames and stuff. I just said the name of the company, but I realized it's not necessary. The point here is just to discuss and talk about my experiences, share this with the people from what I felt. It's not just telling you what happened here and here and here, but actually getting my feelings across. You know what I mean? This happened at the beginning, I felt like this, you know what I mean? So it's like people understand what it's like going through it, and it's not necessary to actually name anyone. So after the work that I had as a technician at Plesio, I started looking around for many different jobs. I wanted to get into the software field, and I found a very good job which was paying quite a bit more than what the Plesio. I started on the company, and my first position was IT support. I was just a support, you know, technician, let's say. That company it's a huge company. It's a it's an international company. It's a CRM company, and basically what they do is they sell the CRM to many different pharmaceuticals. I will name the pharmaceuticals, I don't have a problem with it. These customers which I used to visit and I used to go from time to time include Servier, includes Sanofi Aventis, Bayer, Vianex, every single company that you can imagine. And a hilarious thing here is that Pfizer is actually on the road close to my job now, that I used to go there and visit, and and my roles on that position was basically to install the software, the CRM software, and perform a couple of operations as far as getting the laptops that the doctor representatives had. So we had the representatives which the pharmaceutical company had, and they used to visit doctors in order to sell the products, and we actually installed the CRM for them in order for them to perform the operation. It wasn't only laptop, it were mobile devices as well. They had tablets with them. I'm not going to say the name of the software because it's going to become evident on what the company is, but it's very famous and very well known. So that's when I started. A hilarious thing on that job was in the beginning that I was kind of, from my Plesio days, I thought, start getting the laptops out. And the first day that, my supervisor told me, okay, we got these laptops. I think there were like four or five laptops. I took one laptop up, I put it on the desk. I took another laptop, I put it on the desk. And he looks at me and goes, what are you doing? We're not like fast production line. You gotta take your time, you know what I mean? And he explained to me that it's a different concept. There's big deals, big company does a lot of money with the pharmaceutical companies. Take your time. There's no rush as far as deadline goes. It's just the work that we need to do. You have to put a lot more focus when you go inside the pharmaceutical company in order to have a diplomatic way of speaking. So you have to improve your skills on that rather than being efficient, you know what I mean? Because in place I was doing like 40 computers per day. I thought I had to be fast. It goes to mean that's not the point of this job. This job, you gotta take your time. So in some jobs you will see you have to be quick and efficient, like quick and good and quality. On the first job it was less quality, it was more like being quick. On this job it was more quality and less quick. So I've gone through many different jobs and I have adapted myself to all these jobs. As soon as he told me that, I thought, oh, okay. For me it was chilled out. Put the rest of the laptops back in, take one laptop out and started installing the software. In order for the CRM software to work, there's a lot of prerequisites on the laptop that you have to do. So you have to know a little bit about software on the laptop. Windows, different operating systems, different drivers, different packages that you have to install. You have to do all these different things, and then you install the CRM. The CRM the installation is quite complex. There's a lot of local databases. It speaks with the cloud. There's an online database. There's a database that it connects to our system, and there's a synchronization mechanism which works every now and then. And also the CRM has a business intelligence tool as well. Back then it was ClickView that we used, which was also called Faz, F-A-Z, but ClickView is the company. We called it, I think, Faz, where we used to do business intelligence, market share, different projections as far as different products and different different medicine that needed to be shared across the pharmaceutical industry. There was a lot of competition because we had a lot of pharmaceutical companies, like I mentioned, Servier, Pfizer, Sanofi Aventis. These are huge companies. There was a lot of how can I say, there was a lot of confidentiality, you know what I mean? Not one customer needed to know what the other customer did, because they were all competitors. And when you're selling a program and all these guys are competitors between them, it does put you on a kind of a strange position, because when you go to the customer, they will start asking about, trying to get information. So you gotta be very delicate with what you say. And in general, just to give a heads up, the experience on that position was very positive at the beginning, and then it became very, very negative. Towards the end, it was not the worst, but it was one of a negative experience in that company, and I'll explain why. I'll take you through. I'll try to do it as fast as possible. You might hear me speak a little bit fast. That's the only way that I can get through the topics. I don't have specific points, and there's a lot of things that I want to get through, so it will be a long video. I'll give a heads up. I'm assuming it's going to be a long video, but I'll try do it as quickly as possible. So I started the company as an IT support, just a normal guy installing the software. Slowly I started taking the laptops, and I used to go to the companies and install them. There were some places where they did not allow the laptops to go outside of the pharmaceutical company, so we had to actually go to the company, and usually we used to organize like a 1 week. There's a company which is close to anyway, I'm not going to say the area. There's a UCB, that's another pharmaceutical company that had something like 40 laptops. That project was like for 1 week. So in 1 week you had to do the CRM configuration installation for 40 laptops. To me, based on the productivity that I had in the past, was piece as easy. I could have done in 1 day. But because this is a work project and the time actually counted, you know what I mean? When you sold, you know, when you said how long is this project going to take, you say 1 week, that's money, you know what I mean? So it got my mindset outside of let's do this quickly and rather do it professionally, you know what I mean? There were big contracts, global contract, like I said. The base of the company was in France, and they had all over the country. I think it was like more than 70 something, if I remember the number, 78 something countries. So it was a global company, and a huge support group was in US and in Spain. The developers were more in Spain, and the support team was more on the US. So we had a lot of communication with this in English, of course. Everything was in English. So we had a lot of communication with these teams, and we needed to organize all these components. Slowly I started getting better on once I found the CRM things, I started getting better and better. To the point that I actually started making my own programs in order to automate the job, you know what I mean? I'm not going to go in a lot of details in order to bore anybody, but I actually programmed and I created different programs. There were operation system API programs based. So just to give an example, on your Windows, when you actually on your operating system, you can give a command which is like bracket eject, and it's going to eject the optical device, which is going to be your DVD-ROM, whatever. There's a command for that, you know what I mean? Whenever you type something on the keyboard, it's going to be like, you know, percentage hash something, which is a code which means the keystroke for that specific thing. When there's a waiting period, there's a sleep command. So there's commands behind whatever you do on the computer. If you know this language, which I knew quite well because I had learned out of curiosity, it was nothing to do with, you know, going to a specific training. I wanted to see how Windows works, you know what I mean? I knew all these commands beforehand, so I was quite comfortable in order to create a program. To keep it short, basically what I had created was a USB executable program where you put the USB on a laptop, and as soon as the USB was injected onto the laptop, a specific mechanism was triggered. The specific mechanism was in that USB stick. There was the CRM operation software as well. Then the installation began by itself, and because it was a graphical and I didn't want to intervene too much on the development of the software, and it was within in a sense illegal to tamper with it, I just executed the installation of the CRM. I put all the software, all the packages, I had everything on the USB stick. These were automatically prepared, and then the installation of the CRM used to come out, you know what I mean? So the specific commands in order to, you know, gain focus of this window, bring this window in the front, that window at the back, within the resolution of a specific window, which I knew that the resolution was these many pixels by these many pixels. The OK button or the next button was on that specific XYZ coordinates. So I wrote the command of move the mouse to that XY coordinate, click OK, wait for a couple of minutes, give enough time in order for me that I had already tested how long did it take to do it, have specific checks within my program in order to understand when the operation finished, and then click. Basically all you have to do is just stick the USB stick, to keep it short, and basically if you stood over the laptop or the tablet or whatever device it was, you will see the installation take place before your eyes, and everything will have been automatic. It was a hilarious process because it was not just execute commands, it was actually get the mouse, move it here, click there. So it was as if you were watching a person doing the installation, which was hilarious to me. And the way that USB stick worked is that as soon as you put it, automatically it used to copy all the contents to the laptop to temporary location. So after 10 minutes of copying these installation files and all the prerequisites over, you could take the USB stick and then it will execute from the laptop. So at one stage, because we were running late and I had to cover for another work colleague, I remember that it was like something 50 laptops he had to do, and he had done only half, and we had a couple of days. So I went in, I told him, you know, I tried to keep that like a secret because I didn't want to give this know-how to everybody, and I was not obligated. You know, I mean, this was something personal. How you install the software, it's up to you. You know, I mean, you want to click every 1 second, you want to wait, whatever. You want to press enter and tab next. No one's going to tell you how to do it. But this is my way that I created to become automatic. So I told him, okay, I'll cover for you for those 2 days. You can go to the office. I'll go to the customer. So I went to the customer. I think the customer was Pfizer. I went to the customer, I put all the laptops on, I opened the laptops each one, I put the USB stick, once it booted up, once it was done, put the next one, but then I literally had something like 20 laptops on top of like a meeting room it was, and I used to go around just check everything is happening. It was hilarious because they were all in a row, and all you saw was just mouse pointers booming around, just clicking, I was just sitting there laughing. I mean, so I did that quite good. That was one of my projects that I did. And there were many other projects, you know, similar like that. The reason why I mention this is because of my, you know, intuition into getting onto that and self-motivating me to put in extra work and actually quickly do things. That had a positive effect in the sense that they realized that I was very productive, I was very good, and I had good relationships with all the customers. So they promoted me to a senior support, IT support. Again, I performed very good on that position. They again promoted me, which means better money as well. That's why I said the beginning was very good. They promoted me to an IT specialist. IT specialist was the top position that I had within the IT department whenever it came to that. And that means that I had a lot of people under me. Not sure, I think it was 3 or 4 guys. There were people that used to come and go and used to change. That's another good thing about the company. There was a lot of internal promotion, so a lot of people changed positions in the company, but on average I would say 3 to 4 people under my department. I was not like the boss, but I was the senior, let's say, which means that whoever wanted something, they will come to me and I will help them out. And whenever there was a project to organize, I will organize the project, I will get all the resources ready, and I will do all these things, you know, for them. Then there was a huge deal, which was on one of the pharmaceutical companies where they wanted an IT specialist to be in-housed within their premises. And we actually provided this service. That was a lot of money. The general manager back then was a very good guy, and I had good relationships with him, to the point that he actually grabbed me on the side and he goes, "John, come, I want to tell you something. Sit down, we'll have a coffee." We sat for a coffee and he told me, "What you're doing for this company is hectic. I really appreciate it. You're an awesome worker, and it's very positive to hear this from, you know, the CEO, you know what I mean, the general manager. He's the guy that had the company, the department in Greece of that company." And he actually told me, just for me, he goes, "To give you an understanding, just the deal to sign off on you being there for 1 year was so and so and so many $1,000. It was a lot of $1,000. So he goes, "That's a lot of money, and this is all because of one person, of you." And he actually told me that I also appreciate it because I underestimated you. So he actually apologized. He goes to me, "You were my 3rd pick. You were the third person that I suggested that position, and you were the only one that accepted. And in my mind, I had another 2 people. So you were in the middle. I underestimated your character. Not your ability, your character." The previous 2 people, where he suggested to them to go to that company, they were reluctant, which he told me later showed me that you were not afraid to adapt. You were not afraid of change. You were not afraid of challenges. You took it on, because even the fact that like he called me in his office in Madrid, because we have this project, what do you think? I answered, yeah, hell yeah. He goes, just the fact that you straight away gave me an answer without saying, "I gotta think about it" and everything, it was very important to him. And I told him that, yeah, hell yeah. And that was a thing that some of my work colleagues that were negative. They were saying, why you get uncomfortable when you go to this position. That's silly mentality. You know what I mean? I never had that mentality in my life. Whenever there was a challenge and I knew that I could do it and I was prepared to do it, I will fucking do it. You know what I mean? Even if it was difficult. So I told him, hell yeah, I will do this for sure. So he was an awesome manager, and after he left, he made another joke. He goes to me, "Out of this deal, half of my retirement plan is coming from this deal as well." He goes, anyway, he was a hilarious guy. I loved it. I'm not going to say his name. I loved it. He was a proper general manager, of the Greek branch of that company. He was an awesome guy. His job as a CEO was relations, customer relations. He knew a lot of people. He had a way of speaking that when he spoke, you just admired him. You know what I mean? He was very smart. He had a pharmaceutical company in America. He came to Greece, and there was a lot of background on him. And that's what a general manager should be. That's what a CEO should be like. He should inspire people. After he left, because he was quite old, he retired basically. I was sad that he left. I hugged him and everything. I told him, "You're awesome. You're an awesome CEO. Like, he's fucking amazing." That's when the downhill of the company began. There was another CEO in charge, and then a third CEO. So the general manager, let's call it, of the Greek branch changed another 2 times. There was a guy that took over after the guy, and he was really not that good on his job. I did have good relationships with him, but he was not the guy for that position. And then there was a woman that took after him, and she was even worse. She was the worst out of all, and the downhill decline began. It was also in conjunction with some economic issues, which were like global, but also international and national within Greece, which did not help the whole thing. But the management was the main thing. The change of management was really, really bad. And it was unfortunate. It had to be done. The guy went on retirement. But the people that they selected for those positions, even though they had a lot of knowledge, they were not good. The second manager, he was very bad because he had a technical background. And it's not the case on all, on all technical backgrounds, but he was doing micromanagement a lot. Just to give an example, one day I walked in the office with one of my work colleagues. We were having a smoke outside in the morning. We used to go a little bit early, have a smoke, and as we go inside the company, I see the CEO, the second CEO that took over, and when you go in the company, his office was facing the front door, and I saw him that he was like, looking on his papers like this and just going like that. And I turn around to my guy and I go to him, if a customer comes in the company, what kind of fucking image is that? What kind of an image is that? You know what I mean? He used to worry a lot, and he did not have that confidence. You know what I mean? That confident feeling of, I'm the CEO. In contrast to the first guy who was fucking awesome, that you used to speak to him and he gave you the feeling that everything is going to be okay. I know it all. You know what I mean? Not in a negative way, in a nice way. And then the company became, worse and worse and worse. My experience was quite good at the beginning, and it became worse. At the beginning, like I said, we got the project, and I was situated for 1 year on a pharmaceutical. So instead of going to the office, I had to go to the customer, which means I had to dress up in good clothes, a tie, a suit, sometimes not the top of the suit, just like a shirt, long sleeve shirt. I was more formal, and it was much more difficult because I was within the customer, so you could not become friendly. Even I was, for many months, the desks next to me, there were a lot of like personnel of the company. You could not speak to them friendly as if you were within the company. So you had to not disclose things. It was very challenging, but it was interesting also, you know what I mean? And I actually worked a lot with databases. I learned Oracle database. I worked with the Spanish people. The Spanish people came over to that customer because he did not want to outsource anything. Not outsource, allow devices to go outside of his company. So the Spanish developers had to come within the company. They said that Oracle database, I was watching them. I learned from those guys. I learned how the database works. I did a little bit of reverse engineering, which was unofficial reverse engineering of the CRM program, see how it works. There was a lot of C++ based operations. There was a lot of Java onto the program. There was a lot of database things as well onto it. So I reverse engineered the program. I was able to understand how everything is working, to the point, just to give an example, that whenever there was a bug, because I was also doing the quality assurance of the product and the testing and everything, whenever there was a bug, I actually found a way of whether it can be programmed or not. So I used to open up the program, I used to edit the Java applets, and I used to fix specific things in there. Then I used to pass this information to the Spanish people in a sense of that I was a programmer, and if I had to do it, how would I do it? But I actually did it. I had reverse engineer, I had the runtime compiler Anyway, I did some things which were unofficial, but I had the okay from my CEO. You know what I mean? My CEO told me that, you know, because I know that you know these things, I will allow you to uncompile basically the CRM and for you to do these things, but make sure that nobody learns about this. That's why I don't want to say names and everything now. It's been a long time. I don't think it plays a role, but. And similar thing with the database. I knew the database so good. I got promoted to a database administrator. I knew everything about the database Oracle. I could set it up. And I mean, database administrator in itself is a 3-year course, just for you to get an understanding. I managed on the job to learn this. Within that 1 year, he actually promoted me to database administrator, and I was able to do whatever the hell I wanted. To the point that he told me, if you want to drop the whole database, do it. I've got confidence in you that you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? But make sure nobody learns about it. There were many issues, and there were many development and programmable issues, let's say, which were not thought well out from the beginning, from the mother company in France, which I actually fixed. You know what I mean? Just to give an example, on one of the tables, they didn't have tables to be able to auto expand and auto replicate themselves to, let's say, indexed tables. And after like 2-3 years of working on a specific customer, the tables filled up, and there was a huge problem. How do you do it? How do you re-index all the tables in the database without deleting all the things? But there is a way to do it, and I knew how to do it. And it was a huge project. You know, I mean, it was very risky. And when you're working with a pharmaceutical company that has a lot of representatives on the doctors selling products, 1 day downtime is a lot of money. You know what I mean? And we were very close, and it was like the CEO came to me and told me, you know, we're going to get fined. John, please find a solution. I'm not ordering you, I'm begging you. You know what I mean? He simply put that. And he told me, is there a way to do it? And I told him, yeah, there is a way to do it. It will take me some time. But because we're in a rush, don't ask me anything about estimating how long it's going to take. Just let me start. He goes, okay, do it. I started backing everything up. I recreated the whole database. You know what I mean? Because the indexing was wrong. Anyway, I redid everything properly, and I tested it with dummy data in order to see that when a table fills up, it's going to create a secondary table. The indexing is going to become properly, and everything's going to work. That was a database thing which was not done properly from the beginning, and I suggested it. And whenever there was an update version of the CRM, it actually got better and better and better. So my knowledge and my quality assurance, my testing, and all these things that actually helped the product to become much more better and much more competitive in the market, which was very important for the company, for me, for the knowledge, for my position, for the money that I was making, and for the revenue of the company. You know, I mean, it was a huge thing. I was very happy at it, but at some point I got tired. I got tired and I got bored, and because that project had begun for 1 year, I was supposed to be on the customer for 1 year. And I told them that, you know, I've been here for 1 year. You've made a database administrator. I appreciate it a lot. I've learned what it is to be learned. But this specific job and the way that I'm talking with the customer and then the way that we're doing things has to change. We are, how can I say, we are giving a lot of services to the customer without properly, how can I say, selling these services, and the customer is getting sort of, you know, we're at any point of time, if I leave the company and there's nobody there to do what I'm doing, the customer is going to get disappointed because you actually provided a service for no cost, so you can't take that back. So we had a discussion with the CEO, and this is where the communication went bad. You know what I mean? And this is where the downhill started. Already that guy was not the proper guy for the position, but when we had this discussion with him, he was very negative. He told me, no, what are you talking about? He was undermining my expertise on the subject, which was not clever to do, and to do it in a way in front of my face. He asked, because he was in the micromanagement, whatever I told him that this is the way it is, he used to go, why is it like that? How do you know it's like that? How do you do it like that? That's not the way you do it, especially when you have a guy on a critical position. Without him wanting, but because I was suggested by my work colleagues, I did become the CRM guru. That was the last position that I had on that company as I was on the company. But I was very unhappy. I asked for extra money for the CRM guru position, and he did not give me extra money, which was bad. And I told him that, you know, so far all the positions that I've acquired and the extra responsibilities and were rewarded. How come you're not rewarding this? But like I said, because it was not his judgment, he was basically forced into making me a CRM guru, because I was like nominated, let's say. There was like a, you know, internal thing, and they nominated me. He had to make me, so he didn't want it because we don't have the budget, we don't have this. There's millions of excuses if you want to give to your employees in order for you not to pay them. You know what I mean? The problem is not that. The problem is to be truthful. You know what I mean? And reward somebody, because if you underappreciate, in his eyes, I was not worth the money that I was getting. Which was kind of strange, because if you read all the history of his predecessors, why was I not worth the money? You know what I mean? But that was a question that he never asked himself. So I became the CRM guru. I got involved in a lot of trainings. I used to come back in the offices for training, doing house trainings on the CRM, on our products, on the database, on all the updates, because I had reverse engineered the program. I literally knew every single thing for the program inside out. And because I knew all these things, whenever there was a question about how to do this, how to do that, I used to, you know, and I used to do trainings also for the new people, the young kids that used to come in the company, how to actually install, how to talk to the things, how the pharmaceutical industry is working in general, what is a KPI, what is considered a KPI within the CRM. And slowly through the CRM, I also got involved a little bit with ERPs. So, you know, anyway, and basically after that position, it became very dreadful. You know, I mean, I got very disappointed. I got very bored of my roles. Nothing changed. And my, just to give an understanding, my position was very difficult in that company, because I had to do a lot of trainings. First of all, I had to work with a lot of database components which were very dangerous, and I simultaneously had to do all the help desk things as well. So because I was the face of the company on the customer's, let's say, environment, whatever you know, a representative have a problem, I cannot open my laptop, I'm clicking on this, whatever was always related, hardware related, CRM related, they used to come to me. I used to talk a lot on the phone, and I used to give like help desk instructions, you know, right click here, right click there, and simultaneously I was within the Oracle database and I was doing operations. You know, I mean, you do one wrong thing, you know, I mean, you can mess things up. And I told him that this is not the position. I mean, I wanted to do this, and this is why I initiated, because I wanted to learn. But a proper position of the database administrator is not to be a help desk assistant simultaneously. You know, I mean, some things you gotta focus your mind, you gotta make sure there's no mistakes. But he did not appreciate this specificity. He goes to me, no, whatever, hey, we'll train other people to come and do what you're doing, which is not true. So after 2 years on that position, he finally agreed to have somebody train on what we were doing. So he was an awesome colleague, that you know, he was a friend slash a colleague, and I had to train him. But when he realized what it was like, he was unable to perform, and he went back to the CEO and he told him this. That's when the CEO started understanding that it might need more than one people to cover my job. Then he sold separate services. To keep it short, what happened is I returned back to the company, to the mother company, our in-house, let's say, and there were 2 people that replaced my job, which was a negative image towards the customer. You know, they will say, why is the 2 people where one guy could do the job? Obviously there was an economical negotiation that happened, and we were they were able to, you know, sell that service. Once that happened, I came back to in-house, let's say, and I started working on performing the same duties that I had in the customer. Sorry for the interruption, let's get back. So basically, when I came back to the company, I continued to do the same things that I used to do, but it was very difficult because it was as if the responsibility, because I had become an expert on that specific software. A lot of people came in and left because they were disappointed from the company. The managers, like I said, were really bad, and it became we got to a stage that I was the only person that knew specific things. Nobody else had the know-how within the company, which is really negative and bad management-wise when it comes to this type of you know, international companies, not to have the knowledge. You know, you gotta have a backup, and that was something that I used to complain to them. They did not understand. I told them, what happens if I get sick? You know, I mean, what happens if I want to take a vacation? I can't be on call 24/7. And the manager again was not was not understanding what I was telling him. He goes, "Why are you saying this? We brought you back, and why are you complaining still?" Like he thought I was just complaining, but it was not just complaining. I mean, I had no problem with the previous CEO. You know, I mean, it's not that I became crazy all of a sudden. And I explained to him in a nice way. I go to him, "You got two people on the company to take my position, and they're calling me on a daily basis asking me about things that I have trained them." And he started saying, "Maybe your training was not good enough." He was saying silly shit. It was not that. It was that those people did not have the background knowledge that I had. You have to have engineering knowledge in order for you to be able to do these things. One guy was a system administrator. What's a system administrator going to do with databases? You know what I mean? And when I told him, involve me in the HR process when you go to get these two people, because the specific things, he did not listen to me on that subject either. He just fucking took those guys without consulting me. I mean, you've got a guy there which is doing multiple positions. I should be the one that knows how the advertisement of the position, what the requirements are. He did not do this. So, again, he was not positive to that. There was a lot of revenue loss. There was a lot of unhappiness from the customers, not just from that customer, from multiple customers. And because from the central offices in France it became evident, they actually fired him. That was the first time that I saw a CEO get fired. They actually fired him. Not only they fired him, they changed his position to to Kazakhstan. There was a new branch opening in Kazakhstan, which Kazakhstan, like what the fuck. And they told him as if it was like a promotion, and after that project failed, they booted him off the company. In the meantime, as he left, a female CEO took his position. She was even worse. What she used to do is, and that's why I said I don't want to mention names, what she used to do is she used to thieve. She used to steal money from the company. And the way she did this was multiple ways. I'm just going to say one of them. I'll say it later. We'll take things because I have no points in my mind. I want to not lose track of thought. So when I went back to the company, there was some new managers in positions of different things, and most of these people really respected what I was doing. Some of them I knew them from before, but some of them were new. I made good friendships, good relationships, and one of the IT manager in the IT department that had changed from the previous one was basically a guy that, you know, really saw into my skill. He goes to me, "You're very good. You know all the components, you know all the engineering, you've done the reverse engineering of the program, you're good. How about you become a project manager? Have you looked into it?" And I told him, "No, I haven't looked into it because I was focused on the technological side." He told me that, you know, think about it, because you know, after you become like a tech guru, there's not much more you can do. You have to get more into the business. Where if you go into a project management, an IT project manager, a project manager in general, there might be more like a project director. After, there might be, your horizons might open. I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, why not? You know, I mean, it was a new challenge. I thought, yeah, hell yeah. And also, he goes to me, because you're good with English, you're very typical documentation-wise, you like to write everything down, you're very good on risk assessment. I've seen you do some estimations, you're organizable, the resources, the people, you know, how to manage, you're good. You're already doing project manager. Why not just get the title? I agreed. And that's when I started pulling away from being the backup of the other two guys. That's also when the customer got. Just to give an example, because I might be talking like, it might be seeing like I'm talking in alien language. One of the things that the customer wanted to do was specific market projections. I used to use ClickView, and I used to use the database, and I used to create PL/SQL, not SQL statements, a program begin in Oracle, custom process that used to run and used to create basically business intelligence via the database and provide lists on a monthly basis to the customer. That was not sold. That's something that I did it as a favor. Somebody asked me from the customer, "Can you give me a list of this? Can you give me a list of that? Can you give me a list of that?" I used to call the central offices. The CEO used to go, "Yeah, tell John to do it. Yeah, tell John to do it." It got to a specific point that the things that I was doing for the customer were not able to be done by other people. And that's where the customer got disappointed. The new guys that came knew nothing of this. They did not know any programming about ClickView. They didn't know nothing about this. And the other guy could not understand there was a lot of components. You know, I mean, there was the database component, there was the business intelligence component, there was a lot of components for me to do. And he thought I was just, you know, select and print a list to the customer. It's not as simple as that. Just to give an example of how weird what I was doing was. And the other thing was that my pay never got better. Even though I became a project manager, there was no pay. Because the IT manager actually wanted to provide me better pay, but he was not allowed to from the other guy. So when I came back, I became a project manager. It went quite good on a certain stage. And in the meantime of all this, there was another person that started in the company as a help desk, and he was very negative as a person. And he actually backstabbed a lot of people. He took the position. He was a very negative person. I didn't mention him, but he was an integral component. So him, with conjunction of the new lady CEO, together, they managed to fuck up the company. I'll say it as simple as that. And the only people that they cared about is the people that used to speak to them as if they were managers. Because I knew her and I knew him before, whenever he used to tell me something, or when he used to say, John, I used to tell him, hey dude, hey, yo, what's up? He didn't like that in front of the other people. Whereas other people, when he went in, he's like, sir, so-and-so, good morning, sir, and so-and-so. Who are you talking about? Sir, who? He didn't like that. But that was the way that we were. I mean, I knew him. I trained him. He wanted me to call him sir in front of other people. I don't do that shit. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Some people might agree, some people might not agree. And the reason why I spoke back to him, because I saw that he was being a bastard. Just to give an example, he used to ask for things from me. I used to give him solutions, software solutions, present them to him. And this actually happened in front of me. And he was so stupid that he could not even cover it. And he literally printed out my proposal, which actually solved a problem for the customer. He printed it out. I sent it to him on a document. He printed it out. He folded it. He walked in front of me and he went upstairs. Upstairs was the CEO, the lady CEO. I knew what he was doing. He was selling my work as his work. That's not professional. That's not a manager, not a leader. And because I've done business leadership, I know what a proper leader is like. I've worked with leaders. That was a guy that was just a boss. Really bad. And that specific day that he did it, another work colleague came down from the top floor and he goes, hey John, you know what so-and-so did? I go to him, yeah, I know. He goes, you know? I just saw him, he went in, he was presenting your thing. I go, yeah, I know. I know what he's doing. But I chose not to focus on that because it was going to create more negative feelings for me. And at some point of time, I cut it down on the productivity, I cut it down on everything. And another thing that he tried to do with me is that because the company got bought by another company, I'm not going to mention names, basically our company had the CRM, another big global company had the pharmaceutical sale database, and they bought the CRM company, they named it something else, we were part of the group. Anyway, he tried to backstab me in many different ways, including making me an IT manager, which I never wanted to, and I turned down the position. Why? Because I told him there's no incentive, I don't have the background knowledge to be an IT manager, and I do not take any position where I don't have the knowledge, I don't feel confident that I can do it, and I don't have any incentive to do it. That really put him off. Because it was the first time that I turned down, it was a promotion, you know what I mean? Project manager, IT manager. Because me, you're going to have 10 people below you and you're going to be, no, I don't want that. I'm not an IT manager. You know what I mean? That's not my position. So, he told me, yeah, okay, no problem, you can be a project, you can continue to be a project manager, but you're going to be a project manager for the rest of your life. He was saying shit like that. Anyway, I did not, look into that a lot, but at some point of time, I just stopped being productive, you know what I mean? And because that guy had no knowledge whatsoever. Just to give an example, we had a meeting one day and the customer goes, I want you to create a software for me, which is going to sync the database between our program and your. It was like a database syncing, that's the thing. There was nothing like that. It was a custom application. I knew how to do this custom application because I had reverse engineer the internal synchronization component of the other CRM. So because I pretty much knew how to do it, all I had to do is just copy and paste the code from that, name it something else, and be done with it. It was as simple as that. It was a one-day project. And when he was asking me like, hey, how you do it like that, he did not listen to my things. When I told him, don't do this for the customer, don't offer this service because it's going to have a negative effect on us, on that and that, he never listened to me. So since he never listened to me, I stopped being, suggesting proper things. And I was just part in the meeting. He goes, what do you think, John? I was just say, yeah, okay. In other words, I was telling him, whatever the fuck you want. And it makes no difference if I say no anyway. You ain't going to listen to me. And just to give that example, after we had a customer meeting, we had an internal meeting. He goes to me, how long do you think this project is going to be? And just to be silly, I wanted to say, I go to him, it should take around 3 to 4 weeks. Only 3 to 4 weeks. That's how clueless he was. I go to him, it was one day. So to me, literally, I used to do nothing. How's the project going, John? Yeah, it's going good. 1 week. Scratching my nuts, we say in Greece. Doing nothing. Which, it had a negative effect into me, because in my field, you have to continuously learn new things. Which means I became rusty. Which is something that I didn't want to do, but, they forced me to do like that. And the climate became more and more negative. We used to do evaluations, and he used to tell me, like one of the meetings, just to give a example, we're doing an evaluation. He was talking about productivity and know-how and how to do this, how to do that. And I turned around and told him, I'm 9 years within this company. If after 9 years you're still asking me to prove my capability and that I could do it, then there's something wrong with your evaluation. And he did not like that. There's nothing for me to prove. You know what I mean? He wanted me basically to do things without him rewarding me. If you want to do something, let's have an agreement. What do you want from me? You want me to work on this and this. What are the incentives? Are you going to give any extra money for that? No. An extra title? Something? Nothing. Then you get nothing. And his excuse was, how do I know that you could do it? Dude, I've done it. You've seen me do it. What other proof do you want after 9 years? So he's being silly. To the point that I was basically doing no work at all. I was just sitting there. And it was not a good choice, but there was another work colleague there. There were 2 work colleagues that I mentioned. I won't mention the name. One of them was also a database administrator, and he helped me learn some things. He was an older colleague there, much older in age-wise than me. And I remember a comment that he had made. He goes to me, what do you want from this? I got in best case scenario, because I'm sitting here doing fucking nothing and I'm feeling like I'm wasting myself. I'm a very active person. Mental wise, I want to be thinking always. You know what I mean? I can't just be sitting there. I go to him, I feel like I'm fucking, like I'm dying here. You know what I mean? The best case scenario, I want them to just fire me. Just fire me. Give me the money that we say in Greece, apoζημίωση, and just fuck off. You know what I mean? Apoζημίωση is like the money. When somebody fires you, they'll give you $5,000, depending on how much years service you had in the company. That's the best case scenario. And I remember his comment hit under, and he goes, "That bastard, he's never gonna fire you, dude. He knows you know too much, and he sells your work as his work, as if he's going to fire you." I go to him, "Don't be so sure, because he's not as clever." And there was another colleague in the company. He was also hilarious. He was a friend of mine. He still is a friend of mine, and every 6 months, 1 year, we see each other. There was 3-4 people from that company that I still go out for coffee every now and then. The guy that came from the first floor and told me, "Hey John, he's selling your work." That guy is one of them. Another guy is the other guy that I mentioned, and another guy is a guy that he was basically he had no technological background. He got into the company as a help desk. He slowly climbed up, but because he had no knowledge, that guy was always worried. You know what I mean? His name was George. I'll say his small name. And he always used to, whenever they used to call us in the office, he goes, "You think they're gonna fire us? You think they're gonna fire us?" He was fucking paranoid. I go to him, "What the fuck do you care if they fire you?" I mean, relax, dude. I was trying to always calm him down. Anyway, to keep the story short, at some point in time, and they did it midweek, but I had a hunch, a hint that they were going to do this. Don't ask me why, because it was Wednesday, and it was Wednesday during the day. It was something like 12. Usually when they fire people, they do it at the end of the week, at the beginning, in the morning, something like that. For some reason, one day before, I thought something ain't right. I felt a vibe. and I backed up everything from the server, personal work and effort I have put, because the guy used to do other silly shit. He used to stay over after hours in the office and he used to access our systems. Anyway, he was not a proper boss, let's say, a good guy. Because I knew this, I backed up everything, I deleted everything from the thing, and I was just sitting down. And literally a few hours after that, they go, John, can you come up? I knew the vibe was weird, and I thought to myself, fuck, I bet you this is it. And I was the first guy that they called up. Why? Because I was the guy that he despised the most. I go upstairs, I go into the meeting room, HR department from Italy, the central offices were in Italy. They were there. I sit down and they go, you are aware of why we called you? And I told them no. Of course I'm not aware, because nobody has told me anything. And so we had like an interview, let's say in English. We're here to inform you that due to the integration and the merge of the two companies, we're going to let off some people today. This decision has nothing to do with your performance. It has been from the central offices. And asked them and how was the selection of the people. The selection of the people was due to, you know, from your managers, that they recommended a few people. Who is, can I ask if so-and-so was part of the deciding process? She goes, no, we cannot disclose this information, but I understood that he was part of the process. Okay, I got here, no problem. What does this entail? We're going to give you a couple of money for 9 to 10 years, something. I got like fucking 20,000 euros, so it was a lot of money. But it seemed as if they were doing it also to shut us up, because the proper money that I had calculated was around 16,000, and they gave more. So it was kind of a strange interview. And at one point, the people there go to me, you seem like you're a very knowledgeable person, and that you have a lot of proper, you know, your English level is very good. We've got a question for you, which is kind of curious. I go to her, oh, really? Yeah, what is it? She goes, how come for 9 years you're help desk support in this company? And that's when it clicked in. I go to her, what are you talking about? She goes, your job description here is help desk support. And because we have to, you know, let go of 13 people, usually in these cases we let the lower position people go. I go to her, would you like me to bring you my pay slips? Because I've got them at home. You're gravely mistaken. I'm not help desk support. I started as IT support, IT specialist, database administrator, support tech guru, database administrator, project manager. I was offered the technical a technical manager position, which I turned down, and now I'm a project manager. He goes, this cannot be right because we have the papers here. I got her, do you dispute that fact? Because I've got the pay slips to show for them. So because she didn't want to get into it, she said, okay, let's not further discuss this matter. It makes no difference. The decision has been made for the people to be let go. But it did ring a bell to them. Maybe the people that, you know, changed my title were not counting that they will ask. Maybe that's why they gave extra money. Maybe they thought, you know, he's going to be sad that he's going to be let go. I was not sad. I was not sad at all. I was not sad because I really felt that that job was fucking up my psychology, was dragging me down. I was stationary, and that period was around 6 months. 6 months I was doing nothing. I couldn't fucking take it, you know what I mean? I felt like I was getting dumber by the day. So I was really happy, to the point that when I got up, I go to her, I wish you the best of luck. I gave my hand, and I got him, good luck to every one of you. And the company, it was great working with you. To the point that they were like, what the fuck? We're supposed to tell him good luck, he's telling us good luck. And after that, because some other work colleagues were left off as well, but some remained, and I had contact with him. I asked him what happened, and he told me so-and-so manager, the guy that backstabbed everybody, had changed the titles on many people that he did not like. You were one of them, and they found out, and after 2 months they fired him. So whatever bad deed you do is not going to go unnoticed. I don't know what the fuck he was thinking about. On an international company to do that shit, somebody was going to speak out. Obviously, I was one. They probably started investigating and they found other things that he and the other lady used to do, illegal things within the company, and they fucked both of them off, to keep it simple. Just to give an example, they told me at some point of time, go to a company, to a building, unhook some cameras, surveillance, pack them up in boxes and bring them to us. I did it with my car without paying me extra. And after that, because I had another work colleague, he was within the logistics, the invoice, and he goes to me, John, do you know what the things that you brought, do you know what's happening? What? He goes, they're selling and they're buying things from other companies that they own to this company, and they're making money like that. They're stealing money from the company. I got him. That's what the boxes they wanted to pack up were. So there were a lot of illegal shit happening in that company, and obviously they got caught at the end. The other hilarious thing is that once I told them good luck, as I walked out the office, I had the security guy behind me as if I was going to do anything, and the receptionist told me, tell George to come up. Now George, as I mentioned previously, was the guy that was worried. So I go down to him, he looks at me, I go to him, finally, it's what you feared. I tap him on the shoulder, they asked for you. I go to him, hey, relax, it's a good thing. Every challenge, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I did a bit of a pep talk to him, but it was not like that. He was the next guy, and I had to tell him that he always used to tell me, John, do you think they're going to let us go? And I had to go and tell him, you're the next one. At that day, 13 people left the company. I had the security guard as if I was going to do anything. I had taken care of all the software things because I had that hinge that something was going to happen. I just packed up my stuff. And another bad thing, which shows how negative it was, I went around the offices, I said goodbye to everybody on the floor, goodbye everybody. The security guy goes to me, if you want to say goodbye, and then, you know, don't approach anybody. I got him, I'm just going to say goodbye to my work colleagues. That's another fucked up thing. I mean, what I'm going to do, flip out. And he goes, okay, do it quick, because they told me that I have to escort you out. As if I killed someone, you know what I mean? I got him, okay, no problem. And I go to the corner of the floor where the manager was. I'm not going to say his name. I open his door, I knock, I open his door. The security guard was like, he was waiting for me to do something. The guy turns around, he's the guy that fucked me up basically, and fucked up all those guys as well. He turns around, I go to him, I'm not going to say his name. It's been great working with you. I give him my hand, and as he's grabbing my hand, his hand was shaking. It was been great working with you, no hard feelings, whatever we've done. And he looked as if he was not expecting it. And I told him this thing because I wanted to be a little bit human. I've said it many times that people are not human. I go to him, we've been together for 6 years, dude. No matter what the agenda is, be good. It was good. And I left. I did nothing. But just the fact of him seeing me there, I mean, I had not displayed any aggression, you know what I mean? But when you've got something that you've done bad, then your conscience is not. Anyway, what goes around comes around. Everybody gets their own. I'm neither happy nor sad that this happened to him. It is what it is. He chose his path, just like everybody else did. And that's how I left the company. I went downstairs. A lot of people came from up there. And they go, we found out what they did to you and everything. I go to him, dude, like, relax. A lot of people got worried. Like, I was the first guy, you know what I mean? As soon as everybody was talking, who's going to be next, I go to them, okay, don't worry about it, let's not make a scene, go upstairs, everything's, you're good. Everybody saw that I was happy. I was happy because a weight lifted off. I was able to search for another job, you know, I was able to move on. And one of the things, because I was many years there, that was in the back of my mind, is that I did not want to let that money go. So that was the best case scenario. I got a whole bunch of money. I was able to invest on different things, fix a lot of things because I had a lot of economical difficulties. And it gave me a period after being for 10 years without a break on that company. After they sent me off, I told my wife and everybody that I am going to sit for 6 months. 6 months, I ain't going to be looking for shit. I ain't going to be looking for a job. I want to do nothing. Just want to chill out. So I was also, a lot of people say, you know, I mean, I've never had the opportunity not to do it. I had the opportunity. I got a huge amount of money. I was wise with the money. I did not spend it. I did not waste it. let's say, and I actually took 6 months for myself. 6 months for myself. That was a questioning factor on the jobs after that I had interviews. They were asking me how come a year has passed by. 6 months I was just sitting, I was doing nothing. I just wanted to chill out. I was looking at the market, what's happening. I was sending some resumes and everything, but I was not actively pursuing it. After the 6 months, and there were other things that happened there, that's why we say nothing is by luck. Everything happens just as it should. And after that period, a lot of other things happened, and I found the job that I am currently in. We'll speak about that job as well, but like I said, we'll not name everything. We'll try to keep it, as, not vague, but as, not name calling, let's say, not giving specific details, because this is a social media profile. Certain things cannot be and should not be disclosed. So that was my experience at that company. I changed many titles. I'm sure that I'm forgetting some things, I'm leaving some things out. I mean, I was there for like 9 years. 9 years is a long time. Should I have left earlier? That's a question that I always ask myself. Possibly yes. That's possibly one of my mistakes. Once the first CEO changed, I got some hints that I should have changed, but because I promised that I was going to be on the customer's environment for 1 year, I got in the sense that if I don't do this, I'm going to let down the previous CEO. I had that notion in my mind, which in the business industry you have to not take it personal, let's say. If you're going to do something, if you get a hint of something that you're going to benefit professionally, then you should not have I'm letting this guy down. But because I was a very friendly kind of character, good-hearted, I took that approach to it, and one thing led to another, which meant that I was in the company for 9 years, and the first 3 years they were good. There's a golden rule which they say, after 3 years you should be continuously trying to find new positions and climb the ladder. So yeah, there's a lot of life lessons to get from this job, a lot of professional lessons to get from this job. 9 years is a long time. A lot of mistakes that I've done that I could have possibly done better, and a lot of positive things that went out of this. Like I said, the first period was very good and the end of the job was very negative, but it was a school nevertheless. I learned a lot of things because I was keen to learn. I was accepting of all the challenges. I got to a stage where I became the guru. I got to a stage where I knew everything. I got to a stage that I had exclusive knowledge that nobody else had, and they respected me for that. And that includes the negative also, and the, whatever you want to call it. That was pretty much it. At the moment I cannot think of anything else, and I see that it has been quite some time, so I'd like to thank everybody for your time. I know that it's been a long video, but like I said, I want to make a journey with all these things, and to whoever has the patience to listen to this, I hope that you get something out of my experiences. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you have a good evening and have a good day. Bye bye.